Alright, brothers and sisters, it's your brother G World 7_D. Here's this book, big table book I have. I had this for years. It's called African Rock Art, Paintings and Engravings in Stone. Now, the reason I'm showing this book, because I mentioned, I told you in previous videos how it is known how you had mega lakes within the continent of Africa, and obviously here in America, that had dried up. So lakes that were used to fish or do other type of game activities, not game, for their survival. And then once the area dried up, people just migrated in different areas. That's what happened here in America. To a lot of waterways that once dried up, that they migrated and moved to a different location. Alright? And with the rock art painting, you can see once mega lakes, but also when you study once water-based animals that once existed in areas which is now just a total desert. I'm going to turn to page 202 because this is very important for me to read this. Alright? 202 in this book. Okay. Here we go with this book right here. Right? Now you see an image of a boat. Alright? A little boat. And I'm going to read this right here. I can really get it clear right here. A painting of a boat with 5 people from the pastoral period in Chad. A large figure with arms extended stands in the prow, perhaps giving a blessing or seeking supernatural help. A dead lake bed within sight of the painting may have lost its water more than 4,000 years ago. Bones and fish and crocodile were found in the painted shelter, which is high in the cliff face. Alright, and here's another boat down here. And read what these clowns be saying, man. When you read this stuff, you gotta read what the clowns say. A painting of a boat and people from the pastoral period in the Tassila in Algeria. A similar painted boat is described by Henry Elhout as pre-dynastic Egyptian and dated to more than 5,000 years ago. The archers within the boat, with lithe figures and fine-featured faces, have a possible Mediterranean origin. With those outside, it could be Negroid. Man, that's some nonsense, man. This is how they write this nonsense, man. This is how they write this nonsense. But you gotta find out how to discover this stuff, man, or how to basically pick out the information that you find helpful and to destroy the garbage. What they're talking about is that there's paintings in these rock art paintings that show people, showing animals that once existed, like I said earlier, water-based, but also show boats that are used to sail through water, sail in the water. Why would you have images of boats on rock art painting if you weren't constructing boats and selling with boats? That goes back to here when I said in ancient America. I showed you with the Anasazi. Part of one of the reasons the downfall of this civilization was a lot of the water within that region where they would travel back and forth, do their trade and getting goods, dried up. It dried up. The water was the lifeline. And these rock art paintings are showing you images of things that were done thousands of years ago. And they will paint on these rock art paintings. They'll put different images of their everyday life at that particular time. I'm going to go further down. And I'm going to show you here. This is Africa, all right? Notice like a large rock pile, and look how the stuff that they did, they carved into that rock. Building structures, carving into the rock. Yeah, I know what I said before. Carving into rock. All right, we're gonna go here. We'll get it clear. The old town of the Jijaba sits on a rock near the Dijadu Plateau in northeastern Niger, with the Pixdi order in the background. Originally established at least 600 years ago and once having an estimated human population of 1,000, the Djaba became a major trading center on the caravan routes crossing the Sahara. At the base of the hill, a wall enclosed once provided a market and a well with fresh water. Narrow passageways lead upward through the covered staircases to the summit. Alright, and I'm going to stop right there now. And I'm going to show you this image again. Alright, I'm showing these images, rock, that carved into rock. And this is Africa. Alright, this is Africa. And I said this before. Alright, our ancient ancestors, the blacks here in America, they smelted iron in a lot of those mounds. So I told you before, they had furnaces. And they used iron to carve and cut into those rocks. So those cliff dwellings, they cut into rocks. You get those Egyptian names all within the Grand Canyon area because they cut into rock. Natural rock there, natural geological rock, but they cut and carved into rock using heat. Now, I'm really emphasizing this because there's a lot of ignorant Negroes who continue to persist that we first came here as some damn slaves from Africa. That white folks brought us over here on a love boat cruise. That is insulting. And I want brothers and sisters to stop saying that because I'm showing you rock images there. I showed you Anastasia before. I showed you image that I said the Mali, Timbuktu, here in the Americas. And it rock art and carving into rock, carving into stone. They had the technology to do that. And I want you to understand that. They just didn't do it here in America. They did it over in so-called Africa. They did it in so-called Asia. Carving into rock, carving into stone. And they gathered the materials within that area which they used to build their many different structures. I'm showing you this because our ancestors had the technology to do this. And I showed you that image of the boat over at the area of what is now the Sahara Desert, showing you that water once existed there. And as when that water would dry up, what would the people do? They will migrate to different areas where they can find an abundance of water somewhere else, causing that population in that region to decrease or become a minuscule size while they migrate to other areas where they can do their fishing and their game. So there's always a movement of ancient black folks from Africa to the Americas, from America to Africa, to Asia. That's why you see different figures, that stuff that originated one land is in another land, because it was constant movement and constant trade. I don't know why these Pan-Africans don't see this. It just tells me that they're very limited in their thinking and they're very limited with their research. This information is in your face. Stop saying that your ancestors came over here as West African slaves. That's a lie. Most black people are already over here. You had your black empires over here. You had your black empires over in Africa. You had the black nobility over in Europe. You had the black outpost empires over in Asia and the Pacific Islands. And many of that stuff is now underwater due to the fact of the rise of the sea level. So that tells you how old and far back a lot of these civilizations are or were. Stop saying you're descendant of African slaves. This is what white folks want you to say. We are Aboriginal to this land. This is our land. And us knowing this land, first of all, they do owe us reparation, but we shouldn't even be paying taxes, man. Because our land was stolen from us. We shouldn't be paying no damn taxes. But I digress in that, man. I just wanted to talk about this, make that quick video with this, because I want to connect the dots for you, because there's a lot of holes when you listen to these mainstream Pan-African clowns, because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Trust me, I do my own research. Like I said, I come from family of educators. I've done my own research. I know this information from the back of my head, man. Back of my hand. I know all this information. There was constant, our ancestors had the knowledge of selling. We didn't need white folks to put us on a cargo ship to sell us over here. We were selling from here to Africa. Brothers and sisters come from Africa to here, over to Europe, over to Asia. Black folks were all over the world. Melanated Negroes all over the world. You got to get out your head that you come from West Africa. That's a lie. That is stuff the white folks have told you. And it got you to believe in that foolishness. You have to stop listening to those disingenuous individuals who really don't care about telling the truth. They want to sit there and tell a lie. There were so-called black people over here already. And many don't want to hear this either, is that you did have black people in power here who were bringing white slaves and they would sacrifice them. That happened. That's not my opinion. It did happen. This information, once you choose to accept it, is in your face. But you're going to have to do, like I said in every video I do, real, in-depth research and do some critical thinking. When you look at that Grand Canyon area, you can tell that was carved into. You can tell that a lot of these areas, which are considered national monuments, one point was carved into, and it was part of an ancient empire, a global ancient empire. Stop thinking of the ancient people being a bunch of simple-minded idiots. That's a lie. You had great black empires on all the west coast of what we call now North America. In the Midwest, the South, particularly the Southeast, and even the Northeast. I've shown you pictures of that. That is up for you to read and do your own research. Stop saying you're descendants of African slaves. You fall in the trap of outsiders reinterpreting your history and trying to redefine or, quote, reclassify who the hell you really are. So we got to be more critical and start questioning things. Because this push and said we just came here as slaves, then there's so much information that parallels here into ancient Egypt. So many symbols, so many different structures. And I showed that in my previous videos, man. There's too much similarities. When you get these idiots like that Ma'at chick, who I can't stand, all right, and those clowns, the Amun-Ra squad, well, most of them, a lot of them are a bunch of foreign blacks, all right? And I'm not attacking all foreign blacks, but a lot of them are that. Do not speak for our people. They're very limited on their research and their knowledge because they have not put in the work to the research. I can go into his doggone periodical articles and pull that out, and how these white historians will contradict themselves all the time. But I know about ancient seafarers and how they use different types of boats to sail around the world. Our people weren't stationary. They weren't landlocked. They traveled and they navigated around the planet. I always say this. They used the stars. They used the rays of the sun to travel around the world. They knew what directions they were going into, where they were heading. But some of our people don't want to hear the truth, and I think some individuals are paid informants. But the truth is too much information documenting a global network civilization that ran across the world, the planet, what we call Earth. It's too much information. It's too much information. And to deny this, man, tell me that you are excuse me, either highly naive or just straight up ignorant. Because this is too much information in your face. It's literally this information in your face. You have so-called the honoring of the worship of so-called ISIS in other parts of the world. How do they get to them other parts of the world? They sailed there by boat. They travel the seas. You see images on a Tutankhamun stag hunt. You see the greyhound. Greyhound is in England. What is on an Egyptian stag hunt for? Rabbits. Spain. Why do you see it in the Egyptian stag hunt or images of the blacks in so-called Mesoamerica? I don't. Come on, you got to put a lot of stuff together, man. You have to combine and put all this stuff together. It's in your damn face. It's in your damn face. It's right in your face. But you're gonna have to want to seek this information. So-called black people are the Aboriginal people on this planet. You're not a foreigner. You're not descendant of African slaves. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. That is misinformation. That is terrible misinformation that's continuing to be pushed out there by so many of these Negrito scholars. You are the descendant of Aboriginal blacks that were already here. There's too much documentation. There's too much proof that you were already here. People denying it, you need to see them for what they are. Enemies, man. And traitors. We were already here. Our ancestors built this land. And they had a high form of technology that built this land. I showed you before the Aztecs and their capital with that dome shape and like the pin needle on top. You see that with the Aztecs, and you see that with every capital building in this damn country, man. They stole the architecture. And I showed that in a previous video. This stuff is literally under your fingertips. But you're going to have to really research. I can remember an idiot YouTuber, and I won't name this idiot's name, attacked Dan Calloway, start calling him stupid and everything. This guy is a complete idiot. Unfortunately, he has some young brothers who are very impressionable. Listen to this moron, and he sounds like a stupid so-called baby boomer who don't know what the hell he's talking about, but got a college degree. And like Kwame Ture said, it came out dumber than when you went in, and that's how he sounds. And then start reading stuff about Goree Island. This idiot, I'm telling you, man, we got a lot of idiots out here who have not done no real research. They think they're educated. No, but they've been highly miseducated. So I'm going to end this video right here, man. I just want to talk about that. I want our people to be more critical with their thinking and with their research, and do not listen to these goofball, stupid Pan-Africans, because they don't know what the hell they talking about. They have you chasing a tail that's not there. All right, brothers and sisters, I love you. This is G World, man. I'm out.